What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, along with my other beautiful co-host, Soapy Muffins. Soapy, I haven't talked to you in a little bit. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Had the state of play earlier today that you and I reacted, or gave our watch-along / reaction to. So you can catch that on YouTube. MVP Entertainment, if you want to watch us watch the state of play. Otherwise, we're reacting to everything from state of play today. It's going to be a complete state of play show. If we have time at the end of today's show, then we will be talking about toxicity in gaming. If we do not get to that, though, we will have that on tomorrow's show. So that's kind of the only one kind of up in the air. But before we get into housekeeping and everything, Soapy, I wanted to throw something from yesterday's show that I didn't put on there because I was too stupid to understand it. But I know you had mentioned it and thought it was cool. So I'm going to let you take the lead with this. This is from PCGamer.com, Christopher Livingston, about the National Video Game Museum being completely redone in Doom WAD.
Oh yeah. Whenever I first saw that, I was like, that sounds like a really cool concept. And to give context to what it is a person who works at the video game museum was working with mod creators that worked with, I believe it was the older Dooms.
Mm-hmm.
And he was working with them to recreate the entire museum in the art style of the original Doom, so that it was people could still go to the museum. I mean, obviously you're not physically there, and you're just kind of seeing it in like a retro video game style.
Mm-hmm.
That was something that when I heard that, I was like, that has to be one of the, and if not the coolest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah,
because it's just, that just comes off as something of like, that's a lot of dedication,
dude. Like the game design that has to be put into that is a little insane.
Especially because it's with the mod creators themselves, they had to create whole new models for just everything basically.
Because they don't have that in like, oh, that doesn't come in Doom, so they have to recreate that all themselves.
Yeah, that was something really cool that I thought we should cover.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I was like, you know what, we don't really have a spot for it, but hey, I'm gonna throw it to Soapy, let him hit that one out of the ballpark, Wii Sports style. Before we get into everything. But before we get into state of play, a little bit of housekeeping here at the beginning. Like I mentioned, you can always watch what we're doing on YouTube. We watch the state of play. That'll be on YouTube. If you did not catch it, you can catch it there. We record this show every day around 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Sometimes it's a little later, depends on how long MVP Sports Live went. If you miss a show, you can get it on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube right now, we do it live on Twitch, so vice versa. Also, shows are going to be coming to podcast services very soon. We thank you for your patience when it comes to that. And I think I'm all good with housekeeping. I don't think we have a lot of stuff in housekeeping for today. So let's get right into the meat and potatoes, the entire show that we're talking about. We had several titles brought to us today from the state of play, from Crash 4 to Spelunky 2, Genshin Impact. Bugsnax was on it. We had the Godfall at the end, Hood, Outlaws, and Legends. We're going to go through one by one everything that went down and kind of talk about them. And the first thing that state of play and Sony hit us with was good old Crash Bandicoot. Crash 4, we got an updated trailer, got to see new levels for it, we got to see new cosmetics for it, we got to see a cool kind of retro mode kind of a thing. I'm all for this. Like, this was, to me, the state of play overall was a little underwhelming. This is what I was afraid of. There was no, like, oh my god moment of something we didn't know. But to me, this was the way you had to start the state of play out. Give us your Crash Bandicoot right out of the gates. And Soapy, pretty much everything I saw with this Crash trailer made me even more excited for the game when it comes out later this year.
Yeah, and I've never been really a super huge Crash fan. And
Making
this
fun
kind
of the
of
mangoes.
okay, you know what? I basically had the argument with Demon in Twitch chat, right?
Yeah, I know. I just got to bring it up again.
Yeah, it's a lot of the stuff they showed, like, didn't make me interested because I'm not like, oh, dude, I really got to buy a PlayStation to play Crash Bandicoot. But, like, if I ever did own a PlayStation, Crash would probably be a game I'd buy. It's just a lot of the stuff they showed was, like, it felt unique. And, like, it felt like it was something special that we haven't really seen in that genre of game before.
Yeah.
Of where, for instance, like, they had the, like, some of the levels they showed, like, where it was basically black and white, you were underwater, like, the color schemes was different, they had, like, extra challenges and stuff like that, so it's, like, it allows extra challenge for people who are good at games like that. And that's something that I think is always really valued.
And the thing I wonder with that, I'm going to jump in here, Anya, is when they were showing those off, because like you said, there was a black and white one, there was kind of an old vintagey video one, there was an underwater level. They called it, what did they call it? Inverse mode is what they referred it to. And the thing I wonder with it is either one of two things, because obviously trophies are a part of PlayStation games, much like achievements are a part of Xbox games. I wonder if these are going to be linked into trophies, where my first thought was like, oh, complete a level with this inverse mode, complete a level with that inverse mode. Okay, beat the game with this inverse, beat the game with that inverse, to try to give it some more playability. But maybe beating the whole game with all the different modes might be like, dude, I'm not going to play the game 16 times and beat it all the way through. Some people will because they're platinum trophy hunters. Or the second thought I had is, I wonder if they're going to link these into those challenges you talked about, where it's like, you don't just get black and white mode, you have to unlock some of these inverse modes, and then once you unlock them, you can go ahead and play with them when you play Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, and I think that's something that that adds a lot of incentive to play through the game. Because obviously it's a lot of times with like platforming games, Crash Bandicoot's not so much platforming, I always find a hard time finding a way to describe the game. But like with games like that, it's never really a good balance. It's either just stupidly hard for no reason, or it's stupidly easy with no challenge. I think what they're maybe going for with the inverse is trying to find that middle ground of like Crash. I know has been like historically kind of a harder game, not like insanely hard, not like Battletoads or like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like I think it's like Turtles in Time is the really hard one.
It's challenging, I should say.
Yeah, like it's more on the side of like, hey, like you can sit down and casually do it. You may fail a lot when you're doing it, but like, you know, you're having the experience. You're playing a Crash game. You kind of know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
When you launch it, and that's something that I think is really good to see from that franchise.
And the other thing that I this isn't a big thing from it, but it was something that I liked from the trailer, is they mentioned cosmetics, and it sounded like to me they're gonna have in here, and I don't know if they do the same thing that like Spider-Man did, Spider-Man on PS4, where you had to do different things to unlock different like Spider-Man costumes. And they're going to have different outfits for you to use for Crash and Coco. Where one of the ones for Coco was like a unicorn suit. One of the ones for Crash was like you mentioned, the Sons of Anarchy, Crash Bandicoot, because he had a biker jacket on. And to me, that's cool, because it's like, that is something that I think we're getting with gaming, is you can tailor your own gaming experience. So like for me on Spider-Man, I kind of mixed between some of the different ones. Like early on, it was Iron Spider. Like, so early on, it was the first suit from Spider-Man Homecoming, the Stark Tech suit. Then when I unlocked the Iron Spider suit, I was all about that. But then once I unlocked like the traditional Sam Raimi, like this is like they gave us the Sam Raimi Spider-Man suit, that was my suit. I was not playing in anything other than that. So I wonder if they're going to give us challenges for the cosmetics in this one. And I wonder if it's going to be something where, like they mentioned, where you can play the game with whatever Crash costume you want to play with.
Yeah, and especially I've always, like, in some cases I'm fine with cosmetics, sometimes I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case I'm fine with it. It's the cosmetics from what we saw fit in with the game. They're not outlandish. Like, they seem like something that Crash would probably wear.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I think really is a good idea to do, is like, don't go overboard with your cosmetics of where it's like, okay, this doesn't fit with the theme of the game or anything. Because like obviously Crash is like a wild game.
Yeah.
You could have Crash wear any type of costume and it would work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that allowing players to have these other type of outfits, it's like, it's not, you're not just looking at basic Crash anymore. It's like, cool, now you're looking at Biker Crash, Neon Crash, or like the one where he's like, I think he was wearing a chicken suit in one of them.
The one with him, I think it was Neon Crash is what you're referring to, where he had like the fucking like neon jacket and the Kanye shades and like the light up shoes. Like that's the one where I'm like, I don't know if I play as that one, but I fucking dig that costume. And that was my favorite one from the ones we saw.
Yeah. And that's something that with cosmetics, like I said, happy it fits. Obviously, they also showed the other character. Since I'm not super familiar with Crash, I don't know who the other character is.
Yeah.
But like they even showed she has costumes as well, so I didn't really see a lot of hers.
Mm-hmm. Hers were like there was a unicorn. There was kind of like I describe it as like the inky kind of costume, or maybe like the Ramona from Scott Pilgrim type with that like colored hair and like a purple dress. They mentioned that you could play as Crash and her name is Coco, as well as the villain too, where you're going to be playing as different characters. They also, I think his name is Dingo, the like alligator like character, where that to me is interesting because before it was you had Coco and like you only played with her in certain situations or like certain levels, where they made it seem like now we're like, hey, if I want to play the game with Coco, I can play most of the game with her. Or if I want to play it with Crash, I can play most of the game with Crash. I'm still assuming they will have different levels where it's like, you have to play this level with Crash. You have to play this level with Coco. But there might be more of interchangeable between them on most levels. Let's move on, though. The next game they released, I don't have a lot to say about this one, but I want to give reactions to it. Soapy, you were right from yesterday. We did see Hitman 3. The only thing is it wasn't normal Hitman 3. It was Hitman 3 will be on PlayStation VR. It was just a short trailer of Hitman walking into what looked like a black and gold club, talking to some people. You got to see the first person where it's like looking at your hand, and then it ends with him going to kill someone, and it cuts to black. Are you more intrigued to play Hitman as a VR game than you would be to play it with a controller normally?
I could see the appeal for playing it VR because like there is that want to be in first person for characters, and especially with VR, like you have more range of control over your character.
Yeah.
I think that holds a very strong spot for people. Personally, for me, I just would prefer the typical Hitman experience. But like I could see the market for VR, especially because if PlayStation wants to push the PlayStation VR, I think Hitman's a strong title for it. and I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Yeah, like I said, it was a little small one. We also got that Death Awaits January 2021, so we know Hitman 3 will be for us. I wasn't sure if that's when the VR is going to come out, and maybe Hitman 3 comes out when PlayStation 5 comes out, or if it was like, no, all of Hitman 3, regular and VR, are going to be out in 2021. I kind of agree with you, like that the VR experience intrigues me, but it's not something where it's like, maybe it's because I don't have a PlayStation VR that I'm not like, oh my God, I've got to play this game for VR, but I can't wait for Hitman 3 when it does come out. I'm going to say 2021 January, because that's what they had said. The other game, the next one, is kind of yet again a little shorty but a goodie. I had not played it. When me and you saw it, we kind of didn't know what it was because it was like a non-gameplay trailer at the start. But it looks like the game Braid, which came out in 2008, and it was a kind of puzzle game. They revamped it. It's going to be coming out in 2021. I'll be honest, I might give this one a try, depending on what games I am playing at some point. The thing I also enjoyed with this is they kind of made the what should I say? They made the thing of like, if you've ever wondered about game design, this game will kind of teach you that, which is cool. But it looks sleek. It looks way better than what it did in 2008 because they showed the side-by-sides. Is this a game that you're like, you know what, I might pick it up? Or is it just like nah, I'm good, but it looked cool?
It's one of those ones that, like, I feel it's going to be on my radar, but I think it would be like, I need to be like bored to want to play it. And I don't mean that as a slight to the game.
If something else like Marvel's Avengers is around, it's not going to catch your interest away from that.
Yeah. And that's something that I think I think people need to kind of normalize that train of thought of like, just because like I say, oh, it's on my radar, but I probably won't play it, that doesn't mean people are saying it's bad.
It just like different people, different things are going to spark for different people. And just because a game doesn't spark with you doesn't mean it's a bad game. But there are games out there that are bad games. That's a little caveat with that. Do you have anything else to say about Braid?
No, I mean, besides the fact that like it looks interesting, I'd probably watch someone play it, maybe.
So kind of like a streamer game for you.
Yeah. Then
let's move on. The first PS5 game that we got, because we got a couple of PS5 games. This one, I will say, it's called the Pathless. Early on when they were showing, like, I thought this was a weird trailer. And the reason why I say that is they led with the gameplay. And there's a part of me that's like, I don't know if I would have led with the gameplay here. And the reason why is, so they're showing off how you can like speed up, slide, shoot the arrow, and how cool it looks. And it's like, yeah, it looks cool. I can use my little hawk as a glider and grab onto it. But throughout most of this trailer, I was thinking, what's this game about? What's it about? What's the story? What's the point of all this? Like, I'm shooting all these things to get faster. What's the point? Is it just like a linear level? Is it kind of open world? It looks like to me like it is linear level because you are going out and it seems like you have to shoot those different things to get faster. But then it seemed like it was open world as well because it showed, as you would call it, hashtags Satan Reindeer, or Satan Rudolph, Satan Blitzen, Satan Comet, whichever one you want to use. And you have to upgrade your bird and your bow and get these powers in order to beat Satan Reindeer. It's a game that intrigued me. PS5, depending on when it comes, like when it's out and what is out with it, I might play this. The coolest thing I thought is like when the reindeer is looking to find you and you can like move in the grass when it's dark, but when there's light, it's like, okay, I gotta stop. I gotta wait. Please look away. Okay, now I can go back to moving. What are your thoughts about the Pathless for PS5?
When we were watching it, I remember it was I kept trying to figure out like what does this game remind me of, and obviously Demon helped me figure out that it was Journey,
Yeah.
and it's something that when I saw that, I was
Describe
like, okay,
describe what Journey is for someone who might not know.
fuck, dude, that puts me on the spot because I barely remember anything about Journey.
Okay. Because I don't know what Journey is, that's why I ask.
Yeah, it's kind of basically what you saw with the Pathless is kind of what Journey is.
Okay. I'll look it up.
Like,
I'll look it up on my tablet.
Yeah, it's the Pathless. I think is a more refined version of the Journey. Which, if that's the case, it was when the Journey was coming out. That game received a lot of praise, so I'm excited for this one. Obviously, as you pointed out, hashtag Satan Reindeer.
Satan
And it
Reindeer.
was, I even pointed out in the trailer at one point, the character is chasing it, and I was like, I've never seen a character this small have the biggest balls of all to chase Satan Reindeer. And, like, that's just something that type of gameplay has always interested me, because, like you said, it seems like it's linear, but also open world. I kind of like that, of where it's like, it almost feels like it has that exploration factor to it.
And
Where it's like
the exploration factor reminded me, once they were like, you got to find these powers and stuff, I was like, oh, it reminds me of Zelda. Kind of like how Zelda was open world this last time around. Or how it's always been open world since Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, but it's not Wind Waker. Breath of the Wild kind of fit more closer to what the Pathless is.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, it's something that I think a lot of people would be interested in. Obviously, if you're more into like multiplayer games, this probably isn't going to be for you.
Yeah, this is a solo adventure.
Yeah, if you're up for solo adventure games, this may be right up your wheelhouse.
And I did look up, it is coming out holiday 2020, which means it's gonna be another, like, that to me says, okay, this is a PlayStation 5 launch title. So like now we know for sure Godfall is a PlayStation 5 launch title. They announced that before we even knew what the PlayStation 5 was. We knew it was coming. We didn't know anything about it. That was at the Game Awards in 2019 that we heard about Godfall. But now with this one being 2019, or being not 2019, but being holiday 2020, we know that, okay, this is also going to be a PS5 launch title. Then the next game, I have not played this. You said you played the first one, so I'm going to let you kind of take this one first, Soapy. What did you think of Spelunky 2? Spelunky 2, right? Did I say that right?
Yeah, it's Spelunky 2.
What did you think about it?
I thought it was one of those things of like, okay, it's going back to the first game. I mean, obviously it's the second one in the series, but it brought back that feeling of the first one, of where it's like, it's goofy fun.
Yeah.
Like, obviously they show in the trailer of like, expect to die a lot in this game. Like, at one point they have it that the character's rolling giant dice and the dice roll back and kill them. Or they have the time of where they just start getting juggled around by explosions at the end. Like, it's basically kind of just letting you know, like, hey, this, I don't want to say like a Binding of Isaac type game, because it's not really that style.
But it's okay to die.
Yeah, it's, don't feel bad if your character dies, which, kind of goes against every nature you have as a gamer of, my character's not supposed to die, I can't die, no, I don't want to die, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But with this one, it's kind of like, hey, if you die, it's probably for a goofy reason. Like, you get eaten by a giant clam, you get crushed by a boulder, which it sounds weird to say that dying by a boulder is a goofy, but,
in this game it is.
Yeah. And it's something that, I'm interested to see what they do with it. I'm not sure if I would play it again or not, because when I played Spelunky 1, I don't even think I beat the game. I don't even think there is an ending to the game.
Yeah.
But I played like a little bit of it, and it was fun, so I may check this one out. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, for me, it's one of those where, the way I wanted to put it is, for me personally, I got Celeste vibes. And what I mean by that is this is not a game that I think is anywhere near what Celeste is. But when I played Celeste, I wasn't really playing much of anything. Like, it was in this down period of, like, between big titles. I checked out Celeste because obviously influencers that I watched said, oh my God, you got to play it. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to go ahead and play it. And I'm glad I did. That might be what this game is, or like how I picked up Dead Cells, and I pick up Dead Cells whenever I'm in between games. This is a in between game for me, where it looks fun. It looks like something if I want to burn a couple hours playing it, I can, and not have to like invest a ton of time in. If you necessarily don't want to sit there for hours and hours and hours upon end in one sitting, of course you could if you want to, but that's where it is for me. I don't know for sure if I'm going to play it, but yet again, I wouldn't rule it out per se, because it did have the fucking dice was the best, where he just rolled the dice. I didn't know from the trailer if it's because the dice hit him or because, like you said, he rolled snake eyes and that's why he died. But that was one where I was like, that's kind of cool. So Spelunky 2, might check it out if, like I said, in between games. The next one you were throwing jokes at, Soapy, because of course, Japanese animated game. You have anime girls, so of course all the waifus are going to come out, and all the weebs are coming out for this one. But we've got Genshin Impact, which to me, it just looks like a regular, like, I don't know if I want to say JRPG, but like, I don't know if it's an RPG, so I don't want to like basically miscategorize this game. But the thing that caught me in this game, and I can't find it because they haven't announced who the what the names of the voice actors are yet, but I swear the one guy in this trailer that had like that death mask on, he had like it's coming up. I'm watching it right now. He had like the mask on, and he was like, he had the pole arm that he dove down. I swear that's the actor that played Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender, because he sounded exactly like him. When we were watching, I was like, is that Zuko? And you're like, I don't think so. I think Zuko is in this, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't think it's Zuko, and it's just because I don't think his voice would sound the same as what he was when he recorded Avatar: The Last Airbender, because he was younger. Because it's the same thing of, like, if you see Aang's voice actor and hear him talk, like, obviously you can still tell there's a little bit of Aang in there.
But it's deeper.
But, like, it's not. Yeah, it's because he's growing up now.
Yeah. That's why I was just like, oh my God, he sounds like Zuko.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't be surprised if it is the voice actor for Zuko. But, I'm interested to see this one. It kind of reminded me in a weird way of like Monster Hunter, but not in the same way as what Monster Hunter is.
Yeah, it was a little bit more like Monster Hunter was Japanese animated, but more in the real world, where this one was more cartoony.
Yeah, I mean, I may be using the Monster Hunter comparison wrong, but what Final Fantasy was it that you kind of roamed around the world? I mean, obviously
Tactics? That's Final Fantasy Tactics.
No, it was the one that came out before the remaster, which probably is Tactics, but it's one where you don't play as Cloud in it, you play as some edgelord.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember what his name is.
The Final Fantasies haven't been a franchise I have kept up with. The last one that I played was 10.
Yeah, but it kind of reminded me of that, of where it's like, or at least from the little bit of gameplay we saw, which I don't know how much of it was like actual gameplay.
Yeah.
It seemed to kind of have that style of like, oh, it seems like a free roaming like game that you can just fight stuff. So I'm interested to see where that one goes. Probably not going to check it out. But like, if someone that I watch on YouTube or something is doing a let's play of it, or like they're reviewing it, I may be like, okay, sure, may as well.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm probably not going to check it out, but I might watch someone play it. unless it's got a multiplayer mode and like Dave is like, oh my god, this game's amazing. I'm probably not going to check it out, but it looks like a cool game for people that are into that Japanese style of game. The next game, though, I am 100% pumped for, and it is a game called Aeon Must Die, Aeon Must Die. And this one, right when the trailer started, because this in the state of play was very much like the ones before it. They're like, okay, now we're going to check out Hitman. Okay, now we're going to check out the Pathless. Kind of announcing them. This was one where they're like, nope, we're going right into this trailer. We're not going to give you any kind of reference of what it is. And to me, it reminded me of like a beat 'em up style of Dead Cells. Like it had the same like 2D kind of fluidity of Dead Cells, kind of a little bit of the same animation as well. This is a game that I cannot wait to play because it just intrigued me with mainly the beat 'em up style, where I just want to get in, I want to punch shit, I want to use the abilities that you can, and it looks like it has an actual story to it, which the thing that bored me with Dead Cells is that there was no story. It was just like, I mean, there was kind of a story, but like, it was more of a game like of, oh, see how far you could get. All right, you died. Go back to the beginning. See if you can get further the next time. Where this one seems like it's not going to be like that, and it actually has a story it wants you to progress with.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Obviously, if it's a PlayStation exclusive, I won't be able to play it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, from what I saw, the gameplay, I went back and watched through it again.
Mm-hmm.
And the gameplay kind of looks a little bit... Did you ever play the Scott Pilgrim versus the World game?
No, but I've seen the game, yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that a little bit. Not to the same extent, obviously, because it's nowhere near the same art style.
Yeah.
But, like, the side... I mean, it may just be the fact that it's like a side-scroller, and it also looks like a beat-em-up.
Mm-hmm.
So that may be why I'm kind of thinking, like, oh, man, I can't wait for this to come out so I could basically play Scott Pilgrim again. But it looked interesting. Like, I even remember there was the one person, it looked like one of the villains or whatever. I'm like, that looks like a Diablo villain. I was like, that, that's an interesting way to look at a villain, a unique design, and it's something that I'm interested in.
You did say that. You were like the one that kind of looked like Cthulhu with the different tentacles. You were like, it looks like a Diablo villain. But yeah, I'm all over this game. I can't wait. When it comes out, I will be all over it. I will play it. I'll probably stream it for MVP. It was something that it caught my eye. And that's usually what you have to do for these is if you catch my eye, you're basically, I mean, I don't want to say you've won me over, but hey, catch my interest. You're usually going to, it's going to lead to good things. And I know what you're saying. You're sitting there going, well, Ricky, isn't that kind of what it is? Like you're stating the obvious there. But the next game, this was one that I didn't know the name of because of the font kind of confused me, but it's ANNO, ANNO, so it's mutination. I don't know how to read that. Mutationem.
It's probably
Mutationem.
It's probably like Mutanium or something like
that. Yeah, it's mutation with an EM at the end. This one, the thing that weirded me out about it was that 2D style, but it did that thing that like Nintendo games do where it's like, I'm going to run vertically on the screen, but I'm going to keep that 2D art style. And for some reason that it doesn't jive with me. This one looked like a little bit like you could say Dead Cells also, maybe because you got swords and you're like wave them around, and yet again it's like a 2D platformer. I don't know if I checked this one out December of 2020. This one kind of, it didn't catch my eye. It gave me more questions than I had answers for. But I don't know if this was one that you are on the opposite end of me here.
I don't know. I kind of fall on the same side as you. Of that game, just from watching the gameplay, I just kind of was like, I could see an audience for it, but personally for me, I don't see myself looking for a game like that. I mean, obviously, once again, next thing we know, it could be like the greatest game of all time.
It could.
In my opinion, completely changes.
If someone says, "Oh my god, you need to play this," okay, I'll check it out. Kind of a situation, but I don't know. It didn't look like anything special to me. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. Of doesn't seem my style. There could be a chance it is my style. Who knows? Maybe this is the time that Soapy's gaming sphere expands.
Maybe, but I will say the next game they showed us is going to be, I gotta see when this is coming out, if it's 2020 or 2021. I don't think they gave a date for the trailer, did they? Oh, holiday 2020. For sure. This is game of the year for 2020. Bugsnax. Bugsnax getting another trailer. You get to see what Soapy called the complete Melvin of the trailer and the mayor for Bugsnax. But this is a game that I shouldn't be hyped about. I shouldn't want to play just because I feel like it caters to kids more than it caters to me. But you know what? Fuck yeah. Give me more Bugsnax. Give me more hamburger bugs that I fucking can shoot ketchup into a kennel for them to run into. Give me Bugsnax. Give me it now.
I still remember the first time when that trailer dropped. At first, I was like, is this just like Viva Pinata, but like they just took more acid after realizing Viva Pinata didn't go far enough?
That didn't go far enough.
And and this is really just it's reeled me in.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, like I'm kind of feeling the same boat of where it's like I'm in a weird spot with it. Where obviously I don't own a PlayStation. Probably not gonna own a PlayStation. Who knows?
Give me Bugsnax. Give me now. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I thought the exact same thing of like the first trailer. I was like, okay, I'm like this kind of looks like a quirky game. Like I could see why people would like it. And I was seeing the second trailer. I'm like, okay, cool. This is basically like Viva Pinata, but just better. And I'm excited for it.
Yeah. No, I mean. This is one where the best thing from the trailer is when she's like, use your journalism detecting to realize what my favorite bug is. And it's like, or she said Avi. And it's like, the language makes me cringe, but this game is going to be silly. It's going to be goofy. It's going to be everything that I want in a game that makes me not want to think after I'm playing Avengers and then Crash in October. The next game they had was a VR title yet again. We saw this and here's the other thing I want to mention. The reason why this state of play was kind of was because out of the entire list, Crash we saw at the PS5 release. This one, Star Wars, Darth Vader Immortal, or Vader Immortal. We saw at the PS5 release. We saw Bugsnax before. We've seen Hitman before. We've seen Godfall before, which we'll talk about later. There was very few, this is brand new kind of a situation. And I feel like that's where the state of play is going to fall flat for some people, because I mean, I will say this, there are times where there's times where you're like, okay, I need to have my socks rocked. Not every state of play is going to do that. I feel like PlayStation or Sony did a good job of trying to temper our expectations. But still, this was one that was kind of We'll get to that more later on. I just needed to get that off my chest. But Vader Immortal, this was one where I was like, cool, don't own a VR. It looks cool, but I'm not going to play it because I don't own a VR.
Yeah, it's from what I saw, I am a massive Star Wars fan. I think I've told you this a few times.
You were playing Knights of the Old Republic as... that
is true.
As we were in between for MVP Sports Live.
Yeah. Recently bought Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 again. Been playing through that. And I'm not going to lie, this is the only reason I'd want a PlayStation VR. And it's just because I want a good Star Wars VR game.
Yeah.
I demand it. The only other ones I really remember is like, there was the Kinect Star Wars, where I got to dance. That was, I guess, okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. My favorite Star Wars game was, I think it was called Rogue Squadron, I think. Or Rogue Squadron 2 or something, where I remember the case. It was a PlayStation 1 title. It had a double disc. And I never beat the game because there was a level where you had to fly the Millennium Falcon, which I thought was cool as shit. Because I love the Millennium Falcon. And you had to fly it like out of a cave and stuff. And like I kept hitting the walls too much as a kid. Thought it was fucking awesome, but I never finished that game. So for me, that's why it's like this one. It's like, does it look cool? Yeah, it looks fucking awesome. But I don't have a PlayStation VR, so that's why I'm not going to play it. I'll ask you, though, and this is a topic for a different day, but give like a little short answer of, do you think we're going to get a big Star Wars game anytime soon, or are we going to have to wait until after the PS5 and Xbox are out for a hot minute?
Ooh, that's kind of a tough one. And it's because the last big Star Wars game that released was... what was it called? It was the one that I know Jake beat, I think, twice.
Oh, it was, I have it. Jedi... Oh, fuck. I have it, too.
I think it's Fallen Order or something like that.
Yes, it is. Because it has the guy who played Joker in Gotham in it.
Yeah. That game was phenomenal. As Highly Unlikely points out in chat, we are getting the Starfighter Squadron game. I don't know how big of a game that's going to be. I mean, obviously, I'm interested in seeing how it goes. Once again, huge Star Wars fan. I'm not going to lie. You could literally take a shit, slap Star Wars on it. I'd probably be like, I'll look at it. I'll take a gander.
I'll take a gander at this Star Wars thing you're trying to throw my way.
Yeah. And that's something of where it's, I don't think Squadron's going to be a super huge game, but I think with the success of Fallen Order, I think we could be seeing another one, but I think they want to put some time in between, because for instance, like, the big game could just be, like, Battlefront 3. Like, that could be the next big game that they go for. Obviously, I think they're still releasing content for Battlefront 2, so I don't know exactly what that would be for, but I think that'd be something.
Gotta bring Bitcoin to Battlefront 2. That's EA's next move, bringing Bitcoin to the game.
Yeah, every time you launch the game, it charges $5. You better get the most out of your gaming experience per run.
In Bitcoin. But yeah, this was just one where it's like, I'd love it because I can wave a lightsaber around, but yet again, don't have PlayStation VR. Since I cut you off, was there anything you were going to finish on before we move on?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, once again, from what I saw, that looked cool as shit. And I actually think this could be the first, like, really good Star Wars VR game. Because, or at least, a Star Wars game that you control, like, the lightsaber and everything. Because, obviously, like I said before, with Kinect Star Wars, that thing was doo-doo.
Yeah.
We just need to forget it. The only good part was the dancing. And even at that was still bad. And
the thing I want to mention, Highly Unlikely, coming in on Twitch chat saying that he thinks we'll get a Fallen Order 2 announcement at next year's E3. Maybe, like, we don't even know convention style what's going to go on because of everything that's going on around the world. E3 this year was canceled straight out, right? Did they have a virtual one, or did they just cancel it right out?
I think they canceled it straight up.
Yeah,
I
that's
think.
what I thought. I thought that was like early COVID, to where they just canceled it. And yeah, I know you're being optimistic, but like it's just one of those things where I think we'll have a virtual E3 at the least next year. But yet again, this is a discussion for another day. I don't want to get into it. Other people have had this discussion also of is E3 even viable anymore for like game announcements, because you have Xbox showcases, Nintendo Directs, you have state of plays like we had today. So that's like kind of another food for thought that maybe we'll talk about on a future games live. But the next two I'm going to package together, Soapy. Control, coming out with a new expansion. It's called Awe. Pretty much straightforward there. Like, I have Control. I have it in my PlayStation library. I bought it when PlayStation did one of their two, like, coronavirus, we're going to give you games marked down because we want to sell games while you're trapped in your houses kind of a thing. I don't know about you. I just thought it looked cool. Gotta play Control. Don't have it. Or I have it, haven't played it. I don't know if you had any thoughts about it. And then Auto Chess, it looked like Teamfight Tactics. Like, if I'm going to play that, I'll go play Teamfight Tactics because I haven't played that from the Riot Games side.
Yeah, so I'll tackle the Control thing first.
Mm-hmm.
I think what the all part means is Control is made by the same people who made the Alan Wake games.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what all probably means is obviously, this is Detective Soapy here. This isn't Huevos Rancheros, or soon to be famous in a different Discord.
Huevos Rancheros.
Yeah, it's not Huevos Rancheros or soon to be famous. This is Detective Soapy.
Okay.
I feel like the all part of it probably is going to tie Control more into Alan Wake, of where I think, because when we were pointing out during the trailer of like, is this a horror game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think they're going to try to tap more into that over like Alan Wake is kind of that. Alan Wake's not scary. Mm-hmm. It's more like unnerving.
Yeah. I think you unplugged your microphone there, or your phone died. Something happened. We're gonna wait for.
Nope, I got a phone call.
Okay, cool. Because I heard it.
Nebraska.
Because I heard it. It went tick, and I was like, "Ooh, something happened. I'm gonna jump in." So there's not much dead air, but go on with what you were saying.
Yeah, but it was. I feel they're going to try to tie it into Alan Wake somehow, and I'm excited for it. I want to see how other games tackle the Alan Wake story, because obviously I don't think Alan Wake himself is going to be in the game.
No,
that'd be really weird.
No,
because he's off in some other complete different place in Maine, and I don't even remember where Control takes place at.
Yeah,
but I think
I'm trying to think. Explain to me the Alan Wake games, because I think I know what you're talking about, but I'm not sure if we're thinking the same thing.
All right, so Alan Wake were the games that came out, I want to say, like 8 years ago.
Okay.
Of where it's the guy's trying to find his wife, but he's being chased by shadows and stuff like that.
Okay, we're not thinking the same thing. I was thinking of the VR games that came out that were like, one of them was like a kid and it had a baseball, and at the end it was there was a huge like Five Nights at Freddy's looking monster, and then that was tied to another game where like you worked at a game company and there was some fishy shit going on, and then at the end of the game you're like in the Matrix kind of a thing, or you're like in the game yourself in order to not die. I thought you were talking about those games, so I just wanted to make sure I was on the same page as you. But yeah, with me it's like, okay, it's the expansion to Control. Like, it looks cool. It looked like a little horror vibe. I kind of feel the same way for most of these games that we have left. We've got 4 left. The Pedestrian, cool gameplay style. I like how you can like move the different like tiles to connect them, and it looks like you have to have electricity to some of the tiles to make them work, to make your like 2D pedestrian get all the way to the door. I don't know if this is a game that I check out right away. Like, again, this is one of those, like, wow, Ricky's bored. Ricky doesn't have a game right now that he's playing. Let me jump into the Pedestrian. And I'm sorry, Temtem, this was one that I haven't even heard before today because I wasn't huge into the Temtem series. It just looked like knockoff Pokemon to me, where it's like, if I want to play Pokemon, I will buy Sword or Shield for my Switch, which I have not done, and just play that. Or pull out my old Game Boys and play that. It just, to me, looked like an exact cut of Pokemon, and I just wasn't feeling it. I don't know if you have any different thoughts about the Pedestrian or Temtem.
Yeah, I'll tackle Pedestrian first. That game just looks like a really neat concept to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously, it's looking at the game, like, at first I was like, okay, what exactly am I supposed to get here?
Mm-hmm.
At first, because it's like, you just see basically the women's bathroom character thing.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I'm like, is the character going to walk out of the bathroom? No. Mm-hmm. I didn't expect the sign itself to start moving.
No, yeah.
And like, just seeing...
Moving...
Like,
Can you hear me? Hello?
Oh?
Okay. I had technical difficulties there. I went to move my boom again and my mic unplugged. I was just going to say, like, how you can move from one, move the character, and then it's like, oh, there's a sign over here that I'm out now on.
Yeah. And, like, that's a super interesting concept to me of, like, it's basically like a puzzle game.
Yeah.
And, because also, like, it showed bits of being like a platformer, which is something that I've always kind of enjoyed platformers. I've never been a super huge fan of them. But, obviously, if this comes to Xbox 2, or, I mean, obviously not, it's not called Xbox 2, but if it comes over to Xbox as well.
X Series or Series
X. Xbox Series X. Or...
Oh, I think Soapy disconnect. I think we're having a very technical difficulty like show. I wonder if his phone died. That usually happens. But yeah, like you're saying, like if it comes to Xbox Series X, he will play it, but otherwise he is not going to be able to play it. As you guys cannot see, I am just completely looking. He's got the green circle around his picture, so I think Soapy disconnected. There it is. He'll have to reconnect. I'm waiting for it because this usually happens. Soapy, you back with us?
Yeah.
Nice. I was covering for you. I knew what happened as soon as it froze. And I kind of finished your thought of like, if it's on Xbox, you'll play it, but if it's not on Xbox, you won't have the chance to play it.
Yep. Yeah, that's basically a wonderful internet that I experience and live with.
It's beautiful, right? It's absolutely beautiful how technology just doesn't work for us in this day and age.
Or at least my internet doesn't want to work for me, but that's besides the point. And then just with Temtem, Temtem is one of those games of like, if you enjoy Pokemon-style games and you want to play it online with friends, Temtem's the game to go with. But even that, I think it's also Nintendo's working on MMO Pokemon. So... I don't know how much longer Temtem really has time to shine. So, I mean, hey,
like I said,
if
it looked like knockoff Pokemon. Not a fan. But that's just me being negative, Ricky. Like, put on my negative hat, Ricky, go in the corner because you're not playing well with others. Kind of Ricky. Then the other two. I'll ask you, Soapy, which one do you want to leave for last? Hood or Godfall?
Let's leave Godfall for last.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, but Hood for me is the one out of the two. I got more of a hype level from this state of play for Hood than I did for Godfall. Godfall, I'm already hyped for. You're going to hear about that when we talk about it. But Hood, this was one where it was like early on in the trailer when it was the cinematic stuff. I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck is this? Like, okay, ears popped up. I'm looking, I'm okay. Like, this is something that I can get into, and it totally is. Like, this is the brutality of it, the violence of it, sign me up. There was one that you said where the guy gets hit in the head with the mace on a chain, or the ball with the attached to the stick, and you're like, oh, why'd you gotta do him like that, man? You could have just hit him once and it'd be it. You didn't have to hit him 5 times.
Yeah, it was that part of the trailer, because like they just showed him, just going through clearing out guards, and I was like, okay, that's fine. No, I didn't expect some big burly fucker to just come out of nowhere and start beat someone with a ball and chain.
Dude, I am hyped for this, and this is something where they even put in there, like, yes, it'll be out at this time, but it's not just going to be a PS5 game, it's going to also be a PS4 game as well, so it will be on both, for both people. I'm going to look up exactly the date that they put in. Did they say 2020? 2021. So this will be out next year, PS5 and PS4, which makes me think it'll be first quarter of 2001, like January, February, while the PlayStation 4 still has some of a life, because I would think by July we start to see some companies say we're no longer making PlayStation 4 games, and by next holiday, which would be holiday 2021, by that time I think PlayStation 4 would be almost completely phased out. But who knows? Maybe because of COVID and because of where the economy is, maybe not as many people buy PlayStation 5s and Xbox Series X's or have the ability to do that. So that makes it, and it gives the PS4 a little bit of a longer lifespan than expected. Then the last one, Godfall. I gave you time to talk about Hood, right?
A little bit.
Do you have anything else to say about it? Because I'm like running into the last one, and I was like, oh, I should probably give Soaps a little time to talk if he hadn't said anything he wants to.
I don't know. I mean, just with Hood, it was, especially at the end when they showed that like it was a multiplayer game, I was like, okay, is it like Chivalry? Like, is it going to be that type of game?
I mean, I thought it was For Honor because I saw they posted a For Honor trailer earlier in the day, but it was not.
Yeah, it was, when I saw that, at first I was like, oh, it kind of took a second to register in my brain of like, oh, okay, this is kind of going to be like Chivalry, and I don't want that to come off as bad, because a lot of people have negative connotations about Chivalry, because obviously, I'll admit, Chivalry's not the best game.
Yeah.
We're not going to try to dance around the topic and be like, oh, Chivalry's fine, it's fine. No, that game's pretty garbo.
Is it poo-poo?
It's borderline poo-poo.
Is it straight poo-poo?
It's kind of getting there. It's stinky right now.
Yeah, I'm hyped for it, but the other game I'm hyped more about, but the trailer they released today didn't extend that hype level like I would have liked it to. So we saw a Godfall trailer, and it was mainly a combat trailer, and the two big things they talked about were the combat style and the attacks you could do, and then they talked about the equipment. For me, the more interesting part was the equipment part of it, seeing that your choices are longsword, dual blades, warhammer, polearm, or greatsword, and that you always have your shield on you depending on, no matter what weapon you choose, you always have that shield, because that was a question I had, like, well, do I only get the shield if I have a longsword or dual wield? Do I even have it with dual wield because I have 2 weapons? I'll be completely honest, this trailer didn't do anything for me. And like, it was nice to see the game, like, it was nice to see the gameplay. It was nice to see the weapons. But like, the combat style reminded me similarly to God of War, especially with like a little bit of God of War, and then another one I can't think of when he like dashes over, like the shield smash. Like, it doesn't feel like they've reinvented the wheel with Godfall. Even like when he blows his arm with the shield, with the knockback, I'm like, okay, that was in God of War. God of War had that ability almost exactly. And then like, I made the joke to you while we were watching it of like light attacks, heavy attacks. It's like, oh, do they expect that we've never played a fighting game before? We've never played a game with combat that there's light attacks and heavy attacks. So, like, for me, I think that this trailer could have done a better job, but I realize what they were trying to do. I don't know if you have a different opinion.
I'm kind of on the opposite side of where, like, I didn't really keep up with Godfall much before this. And now it's after seeing this, like, obviously, I didn't, like, I will agree on the fact I didn't like how, like, they seem to be kind of babying people. Like, obviously, yes, there are people out there who haven't played a game where there's heavy and light attacks. But it's like, the way it was being described in the gameplay kind of seemed like it was babyish a little bit.
Kind of made me feel insulted in a way. I'll be honest.
Just a little bit of kind of, challenging me as a gamer, of where they'd be like, "All right, little buddy, hit the right bumper," and I'd be like, "I know what I'm doing." They're like, "Oh, push you to the right bumper." They probably would start talking to me like I'm a baby if they went a little too far. I
would have rather them talk about the loot side of things than the the combat wasn't. The combat wasn't the thing hyping me for this game. The fact that it's a looter slasher, and they mentioned, like, oh, you're going to find all these armors. I was like, good, tell me about that. Tell me more about those. Tell me more about that. And they just were like, nope, combat. That's what I didn't like about this.
Yeah, and I mean, and with them showing combat, I mean, obviously, I kept making, we were just kind of joking throughout the whole thing of where, I kept saying I kind of wish that Kratos was voiced by Foghorn Leghorn, and that the final person they showed, boy, I said, boy, come here, boy. If they did that, but it was and we made the joke that the end guy in the trailer looks like a Reinhardt.
Yes, I'll be your shield. It's a better Reinhardt. I used to do a better Reinhardt.
Yeah, it was. I'm okay with them showing that. I will say loot should have been something I think they should have shown. And it's because in loot games like this, because that'd be like, for instance,
when you're calling yourself a looter shooter and you're developed by Gearbox.
Looter slasher.
Oh, I'm sorry, actually. Looter slasher.
Jeez. We need to be getting, correct terminology here. We're professionals, damn it. But yeah, I think it's one of those things, the loot should have been shown at least a little bit. Like, obviously, I'm not expecting, like, oh, show me legendary drops or anything if that's in the game. Like, I'm not expecting to see that, but just show, like, do enemies have a chance of dropping weapons? Do you only get weapons from bosses? Like, do you have to buy the weapons and stuff like that? Like, I wish we would have got something like that. With combat, I'm fine. They kind of showed how each of the weapons interact. I didn't really need a tutorial like they kept showing for every weapon, though. Like, it's kind of standard stuff where, like, dual wield, you hit faster. Longsword, it's your basic move. It's like polearm and greatsword and in Warhammer, you hit harder. It's like, I don't really need to be told this type of stuff. Like that's something I could figure out in game.
I think they missed the mark on this one. Like, this was a chance for Godfall to basically hype us up more, because you got to think about it. We're in August, holiday of 2020. This is in 2019 at the Game Awards. They announced that this would be one of the first launch titles with the PS5. So, like, now it's like, if this game is going to underwhelm now, how is that going to affect some PlayStation 5 sales? Because the thing is, PlayStation's been good with exclusives. But if you keep giving me trailers that I'm not really feeling it, the hype level that I had might fall or might simmer at the same spot. And you don't want that. I would have liked to see more from the loot. I would have liked to see more of, like, you can give me the combat, but just how they did it. A, I don't think they needed to do that. And two, I don't think they did it the right way, especially with you, like, some of the language that they use. Because, like, that final Reinhardt, like, boss was pretty cool. You could have been, and made me feel like, oh my God, that guy's fucking awesome. Which he is, but it's just everything that preceded it. I didn't have that same reaction. So here at the end, we will talk about just our final thoughts of the entire state of play. With me, if I'm giving it a grade, it's like a C+. And like the only so I'm going to say C+ hype level, B- in execution. And the only reason I say that is the execution, PlayStation gave us everything that they said they were going to technically give us. They gave us some PlayStation 5 titles. They gave us a lot of indie titles and third-party titles for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation VR, and some PS5s. I think that the reason why this is underwhelming is it led with Crash, and Crash was the biggest thing on here. Godfall should have hit better. I realize why they put it last, because it should have had a heavier impact on the state of play. It just did not. So you started out great with Crash. You ended with kind of, I'm going to say a little like fart, not even like a big powerful one, just a doot, with Godfall. And really the only other thing in here that was like super exciting was the Hood game. Everything else was just, if you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But don't sit there and be mad that, oh, we didn't get Resident Evil 8. Oh, we didn't get Final Fantasy. We didn't get this game or that game, or they didn't tell us about anything with this big title. This was not a state of play designed to do that. However, with what they had, they started strong and ended a little weak in my mind. What did you think overall, Soapy?
Yeah, if I'll go off the grading system, I'll say I think they got a B- just across the board for both. Okay. And that's mostly because, I mean, me and you, before it had even started, we had talked about like what our expectations were going into it, and this kind of met what my expectations were of like, obviously being an Xbox guy. I already kind of went in being like, like these are going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you know, I'm maybe just a little too excited for Bugsnax and stuff like that.
You gotta, though. You gotta be excited for the Bugsnax. Except for the Melvin Mayer, but hey.
Yeah, besides that guy. Yeah, I feel with this, it almost felt like very top heavy to me, of where it's like they put the heavy hitters up front. Like, obviously, you know, there may have been an exception, because I'm going to look through the list again just to see, like obviously, like you said, Crash, in my opinion, probably the biggest thing they announced. Like, obviously, Hitman VR, Then with Braid, obviously, some people like it, some people may not. Then Pathless, I think, is probably, in my opinion, the second or third best game they announced. And then just kind of like, you know, kind of just in between. And, you know, and it just, I feel they hit in spots. I feel it was pretty decently spaced out. I do think it was kind of more top heavy, though. Because like you said, I feel Godfall, I feel it got the point across, but I just think its points were touched into just a little too much. Because it's like, for instance, you could have like tutorials in the game teach people about heavy and light attacks. You could have like people experience the weapons for themselves rather than just telling them straight up like they did in the trailer. Also, probably focusing more on loot, like we said. But I don't want to harp on that too much, because I don't want to make it sound like I'm being negative about it, because the trailer was exciting. I'm happy for it. I did make the joke about how the guy doing the gameplay wasn't that good, because half the combat he wasn't hitting people.
You're like, hey, man, if you're going to do that, you got to be fucking better with the combat.
Yeah. I mean, I'm mostly just doing that to be a meme lord, because I just enjoy being a shitlord, apparently.
Yeah. But yeah, that's going to do it. So the thing we said earlier with the toxicity thing, looking at the time that we've gone, we're going to push that to tomorrow's show. So tomorrow we will talk about the FIFA goal celebration and kind of branch that off into a bigger discussion of toxicity in the gaming community as a whole. We'll have a bunch of new topics for tomorrow, because gaming news is happening all the time, except for over the winter holiday, apparently. But that's going to do it for MVP Games Daily. Obviously, if you're in Twitch chat, thank you for telling us what you were thinking as we were recording the show. If you're on YouTube, let us know what you think down below in that comment section. If you're on Twitch, you ever miss a show, you can check it out on YouTube at MVP Entertainment. If you're on YouTube right now, we record the show every Monday through Friday at around 5:30 Central Time, 6:30 Eastern Time. And that's where you can catch it, twitch.tv/MVP Vids. Also, the thing I forgot in the housekeeping that I should have mentioned, I'll mention it tomorrow for sure, is starting tomorrow, probably tomorrow night, shortly after MVP Games Live and all weekend, I will be streaming the Avengers PlayStation 4 beta. I will be downloading that tonight, playing it tomorrow. It should be a great time. I cannot wait for it. I pre-ordered the game just so I could play the beta this upcoming weekend. So be on the outcome for that. It's going to be twitch.tv/MVP vids. However, I'm going to put the streams up on YouTube after I do them. So you'll catch them in either way. But that's going to do it for MVP Games Live. Soapy and I will be back tomorrow to end out the week. But as always, have a good day, everybody.
Bye-bye.